Greetings, YouTube. Hope you guys are doing well this evening, or I don't know where you guys are this morning, this afternoon. It is 11:30 here in Columbus, Ohio. And yes, it is a late video, but as I always say, my day usually starts at this time, the evening time. I'm busy as heck during the day. But anyway, as the title says, this video is going to be another tutorial, but as you notice, it's for intermediate going into advanced stages of the language. So if you're new to this channel and you have never seen these particular videos, and let's say you're a beginner, because this video is for Chinese, you're a beginner and you want to learn Chinese, cut this video off, go to the description area and click on that one. That one is for the beginners. That one will be more beneficial first, and then once you complete level what I'm talking about, yeah, once you complete that, that video, level 1, what I explained in the video, then you'll be ready for this video. So don't worry about this one. I mean, if you want to watch it, you can, but I'm just saying, like, this part of the video is not for beginners. So welcome to the channel. Thanks for viewing, and yeah, I hope you enjoy the videos. So yeah, first of all, I should congratulate you guys, those of you who've made it this far. Excuse me. Not everyone makes it to this this point. Motivation is always an issue for most people. So it's a hell of an achievement. You're not fluent yet, but you're well on your way to achieving fluency in the language. So congrats to you for that. As I explained in that other video, you guys, I'm sure many of you have seen, basically, I like to make these tutorials, or not tutorials, but these particular, like this part of the video, this little introduction. I like to make these videos just to give you a clear idea of what you need to do in order to continue through the language, or to start the language, rather than just throw you resources, give you things, and say, okay, this is what you need, and that's it, you're well on your way. What is this? Oh, okay. Yeah, rather than just shoot your resources and then, say, okay, figure it out on your own. So this will give you guys a clear idea what you need to do during this process. Many of you already know, but I have to repeat it in this video because I'm not sure who's new and who's not. So basically at this stage here, you're ready to move on to some more advanced material. Now, before, when you're working with level 1 material, you were dealing with basic things, questions and answers, which are very important for when you're meeting native speakers at the beginning. You need to know those things. That's just important for conversation. And that's just my philosophy. I can't learn a language without knowing certain things first. Otherwise, I won't be able to maintain motivation. So that's why I work with languages in the way that I explained in the first video. So that's basic stuff. You need to, once you learn that stuff, now you're ready to take it further. You're ready to go into like more more topics, in-depth, conversation. And this is gonna be, it's gonna require a lot of effort and motivation. So I'm sure many of you are highly motivated to take on this task. So like before, what you want to do before you even start this intermediate, journey, you need to make sure you have some people to interact with. This is always important. You can never get away with this. You can never avoid this, I should say. You need to find native speakers to interact with. Otherwise, how are you going to learn a language? How are you going to retain vocabulary? You can retain some things passively through reading, but if you're trying to be able to speak the language, you need to be able to, you need to have this contact with a native speaker. Now, at this point, you don't really need to find multiple people. You don't have to like before. Before, it was essential because of the questions and answers, and you needed to get those very often so you could retain them. So you had to find all these people and, practice all those quick Q&A, practice how to understand them and how to answer them. That was very important in level 1. But now you can just find like 2 to 3 people and just interact with them on a daily basis. Because like I said, you're trying to further conversation. on different topics. This is the time to do that. But at the beginning stages, level 1, you're a beginner. You're not ready for that yet. So before beginning that, or this intermediate stage, you need to find at least 2 to 3 people. Now, the only thing, you may have to find a series of people, maybe 10 to start off with, just to see. And maybe you don't have to. Maybe you've already accumulated enough people to talk with. You just need to choose a couple people to talk with on a daily basis, because you went through this process of level one. Maybe you've already had someone, but if you don't, you have to find someone. And when I say find someone, you need to find someone who was consistent, someone who was as motivated as you are for learning a language. You guys doing a language exchange, or they're passionate for helping you with their, with their language. You need to find someone who was consistent. Because, I mean, even me, I've experienced this. I've experienced having contact with certain people, and, I speak with them for a couple of days to a week, and they just disappear. I've even had this problem. So I had to round up my list of friends, and then I'd say, okay, this person, I've been speaking with him every day. Okay, this is the person who I'm going to put more my trust in terms of, my dependency. I could depend on this person, so I don't have to worry about him ditching me or just disappearing. Because, see, this is the thing, like, and I know many of you know this, but studying, you have books, studying from books and stuff. Books are good. They're very good. I'm not talking down on books, but for me, I'm trying to be able to speak. Like, I need to be very active with the language. I need to have people beat me up on a daily basis. I don't care if I don't understand, I'm getting lost, but I need to keep that going every day, getting beat up, so I can come to the state of being able to understand everything. You see, and you can't do that through just studying. You can't do that by just reading. Like, it's not going to work. Reading is good for accumulating vocabulary. You will learn vocabulary, but when it comes to interacting with a native, you right there speaking with them, you can't. The book is not going to help you, So you have to have this person to interact with. So just keep that in mind. You have to always have someone to talk with. Just so you ask yourself, do I have someone to talk with? At least 2 or 3 people to talk with on a daily basis. It doesn't have to be every day. It can be like 3-4 days a week. But make sure that person is always there for you. So you need to do that. Then once you do that, then you're able to, start looking into these different resources and say, okay, I'm going to use this, use that, which I'm going to show you. I'm going to recommend you some good resources to use. Okay. Now, and when I made the first tutorial, I named some resources, and there were some resources I didn't name. I think there were some resources, the ones I didn't really name and talked about, I just told you guys that those resources aren't really good for beginners. I'm not saying that you can't use them. You can use anything as a beginner, but the question is, how much benefit will they be for you, and how much will you get out of them? And how much time would you have to spend in order to really get a lot of information from those resources? That's basically what I was talking about in the first video. Now at this point, these particular resources will be more beneficial. They'll be more enjoyable and less stressful to use, because you've already played around with the language. You have exposure now, so you won't be totally lost. Obviously, there's going to be some things you don't understand, but you're not going to be totally lost. It's going to be, you're going to feel it like, okay, this is great. I can already put some sentences together. I can have a conversation with a native speaker. I'm just building on top of what I already know. So these resources, such as like Teach Yourself, ASIMIL, Colloquial, any type of course that is set up where they have dialogues, because that's what you want to work with. Any type of, dialogues. When I mean by dialogues, some people are like, what do you mean by dialogues? Basically, you have, like, I'll show you in this book here. Like, this is a dialogue here. Let's see if you guys can see that. This is my Somali book, by the way. You see that? Let's see. That's a dialogue. So it's like English and Somali. That's what that's what you want to play with at this point. As a beginner, it won't be as fun to work through this. But at this stage, it will be a lot more enjoyable. So any type of course that has this or any program, there's a lot of programs out there. You got Link. I know many of you know Steve Kaufman. His site is good for this. Glossica, he has his own material, and I actually have it for Taiwanese. I'm gonna show you guys. I got it on my computer. I'll give you a demonstration of how it's laid out. That resource, anything like that. When we have dialogues, those are very good at this point. And yeah, you need to know how to use. I'm gonna show you how to use them, and then how to use the material with the native speaker. But those type of resources are very good once you start reaching like low intermediate, going into intermediate, and then you're ready to move on to advanced. Very, very, very useful resources. Okay, so those are the resources you want to look into getting. Now, some people may ask, like, how many resources do I need to get? Oh, my microphone came off. Some people ask, well, how many of those resources do I need to get? Just get one. Now, if you're the type of person, that gets bored easily, and you feel that, man, I'm tired of working this course, I want to use somebody, then just get a couple courses and just go back and forth. But you really don't need that. Just get one, work through that, because you're going to be busy with all that content. Work through that, try to use that stuff with native speakers, and then once you get through the whole book, you can go back and do a sweep, and then get another resource, do the same thing. You see? So it all depends on the person. If you're the type of person to get bored, then you may want to get a few of these resources. But that should be it for you. You should just get one and then just focus on that. Now, if you guys have worked through FLR level 1, level 2 should be enough for you. Like level 2 is just like these other resources, basically dialogues. And I'm going to show you guys some samples on how to use that. I got the FLR, and I'm going to show you FLR, show you the Glossicas, and just basically show you how to use these resources to the fullest and get a lot out of them. Okay. So yeah, I think I'm going to conclude this part of the video. I'm going to transition over into this resource part, and yeah, I hope my videos, these tutorials, help you guys out, help you move through your languages swiftly. It doesn't really matter what you're using. You still gonna have to put the effort in. You always have to work hard. There's really no shortcuts around working hard. You have to put the work in. So yeah, let me go ahead and conclude this part of the video. And if you guys have any questions, let me know. And also, if you guys know anyone interested in learning a particular language and they're beginners, definitely send them here, because I have a lot of good information. I'm going to make the tutorials for basically any language. I don't just restrict these videos to language that I've studied and the languages that well, no, not the language I studied, but the language that I've gotten a good level in. I will even go as far as using I'll make a tutorial over language that I'm like really weak in. So it doesn't really matter. The point is to show people what you need to do. What do I need to do while I'm working through this language? That's what these tutorials are for. Okay. So, all right, that's it for this part of the video. Let me go ahead and transition over. If you guys have any questions, feel free, leave a comment in the comment section, or you can contact me through email if you have any other personal questions. So that is it. Thanks for viewing, and I'll see you guys here in the next part of the video tutorial. Alrighty, folks, for this second part of the tutorial, I'm going to talk about some resources you can get once you get to this point in your language studies. So the previous part of the video was introduction and just some more advice on what you can do once you reach this intermediate point. You you finish FLR level 1. So this will be some more useful information for you. So what you're looking at here is a list of several resources that you could possibly get. Now, you don't have to get all of these resources at one time. Okay, this is not what I'm telling you to do. These are just some possible resources that you can look into. And if you're the type of person that gets bored easily from using one course, then these are some options that you can choose from. So basically, I'm going to explain to you what these resources are about, and I'm going to show you some samples on the layout of them. I have them here. I've had these for a some of these I've had for a long time. Some I've had them sent to me for a while. So let me see. All right, so the first on this list is the FLR level 2. Okay, we all know what that is. I've spoken about this before. So if you went through level 1, then it's time for you to move on to level 2. And I want to show you what level 2 did I put. Let me see here. I'm going to show you. Oh, there it is. I'm going to show you what level 2 looks like and how to work through that course. Then you have Meal. I have some samples here. I'll show you how that course is laid out. And then you have Teach Yourself, Colloquial, then the Glossica method, Link, and then basically any type of course with the dialogues. Okay, you want to work with text now to just learn more vocabulary. Then grammar books. Now the grammar, you at this point you can start working on grammar. It will be good to work at this point, but even like you don't necessarily have to if you don't want to. Now I know it probably sounds crazy to most people. Say, how are you not still working with grammar? Um, when you're learning through text, right, and using that stuff with native speakers, you really don't have to understand how the grammar works. You're basically just learning from the context and how it's used, and you say, okay, well, this is how they're using it in context. I'm going to go ahead and use it the same way on a native speaker. And as you know, once you use it with a native speaker, you will easily retain it. So you really don't have to do grammar. It's not necessary, but if you want to, you can. Um, you can do it now, but if you were like a total beginner and starting from like the level 1, then I wouldn't advise doing grammar. I know everyone's different, but that's just my advice. So these just are some resources to look into once you get to this stage. Now, I was thinking of including like children's books, you know, newspaper, novels and stuff like those. You could use children's books. I think children's books, I can put that here. I can add children's books. That's something that you can possibly use at this stage, intermediate. Now, novels, advanced novels, I wouldn't recommend those. You could use them, but it will be pretty painful because you don't have enough of the language. You don't really understand the language enough to be able to enjoy those particular resources. So I would save, um, I would just wait until I get to a higher level, advanced, high, upper advanced, higher and advanced level before using those. That is, if you want to enjoy them more. I'm not saying that you can't use them, but it's just going to be painful because it's going to be a lot of vocabulary that you don't understand, and you're not even going to be able to get through the first paragraph without being confused. So that's just my opinion. And then here, basically, I have focusing on topics weekly to increase your vocabulary. So what I mean by this is, once you feel, once you get intermediate, you know that you pretty much got the basics down. You feel comfortable with the language. But to move on from the intermediate, going to the advanced, you have to do more difficult things. And I found that working, find a native speaker, a couple native speakers, and come up with topics on a weekly basis. The first topic can be education. It can be any type of topic. It can be anything, education, children, or whatever, and just focus on that topic for the entire week. Or if you want to spend 2 weeks, you can. But I would just spend time focusing on that topic and then trying to talk with the native speaker and learn the vocabulary from them and the structure. And just like I said, again, through context, they don't have to explain the grammar, just kind of use it. Look up the word, the word, obviously, the vocabulary, but don't worry too much about the structure. Just see how it's used in the sentence, and then you try to use it. That's what I would do. And if you do that, um, then you will learn a lot of native vocabulary. And you will just learn so much. And then once you go back to, you know, you go back to like previous resources you've used, you'll notice like, well, these resources here, you go through those resources, then you're like, wow, this is so easy. It seems so easy because you've been, learning all that advanced vocabulary. But this approach is not for everyone. You have to be very patient, very, very patient to take this approach, because there's really no grammar and you're just learning things from the context and say, okay, well, he's using it like this, so I'm going to just use it like that as well and just absorb it, after using it so many times. So I feel that once you do that, you spend a certain amount of time doing that, it will definitely increase your level. You will go to a higher level, and then you'll be ready to start reading literature and all that advanced material. But at an intermediate stage, it's going to be difficult to do that. So that's just my advice, to move on to like an advanced level. Now, I didn't mention it. Well, I did. I kind of did mention it. You have to keep in contact with a native speaker. If you're just reading all day, reading this stuff, it's not gonna work. Maybe your passive knowledge will be good, but I would advise having contact with these natives and try to use this stuff with them as much as possible. See, that way, they can correct you, and you'll be able to learn the more natural ways of saying certain things rather than from a book. That's just my opinion. So there's really no shortcuts around that. It's going to be, although you reach intermediate, it's still going to feel like a lot of work when you're trying to move on to an advanced level. But hey, if that's what you want, you hungry enough, it won't matter how difficult it is. You know, you just go on with it. So, what else do I need to mention before I show you these resources? That is it. So I'm going to start with this. Let me open up this FLR here, level 2, and show you what you're, let's see here. So I'll go to, oh, wait, is that, hold on. That's not the right file. No, wait a minute. I don't think that's not the right file there. Hold on, that's not the right one. World 2. Is that? Open that again. Um, hmm. Okay, I'm trying to see. This is the older version. This is not the newer one. And I have to go here to my Dropbox and see if I have it here. Oh goodness. I could have sworn I put the updated version here. That's weird. So let me see. Mandarin level 2, right? I know I don't have 2 of them in here. That doesn't make sense. Hold on. Okay, I apologize. Yeah, I have 2 in here. What is this? I'm gonna have to delete that one. That's not the right one. Oh, see, here's the right one. Yeah, I'm gonna have to delete that one. Okay, yeah, sorry about that, guys. I'm gonna go to reading 1. Okay, so this is level 2, and this is what it looks like. You basically you're gonna have you're gonna have 4 audio files for each part of the text. So this is how it looks. All right, 4 parts. And basically you see we have our English here, we have our traditional characters here, we have the pinyin, and then we have our simplified characters down here. Okay. So you have your audio. Basically, like I mentioned before, once you reach this intermediate stage, this is what you need to, this is the type of material that you need to work on. This material, and then also working through grammar if you choose to. But like I said, you don't have to choose grammar. You just, if you have If you have some like text like these you can work from, these would be good enough. But again, you have to use this material with native speakers. So um, how to work through this material, basically you want to listen to it many times, and also you want to play with the sentences by creating your own sentences. Just play around with it and then go use it with a native speaker. So we have, let's see, I'm fine, I'm about to go on a trip with my family. um, Let me see. Really, where you going? So, I can show you some demonstration here. Let's see. I'm gonna go ahead and use this here. I can use the bottom part of this to show you guys. So if I'm okay, I'm working on this during the week. I say, okay, I'm listening to this and I'm gonna play around with the sentences. So I'll say, we plan to go to Hawaii. 我们计划去夏威夷这个周末. Okay, so like here, now the concept is, if you went through level one, the concept is pretty much the same. It's the same concept as you've seen at that first level. So check this out. I'll show you this. So playing around with the sentences, you can say, I'm just going to use the English. I'm not going to bother writing the Chinese because it's you guys get the idea. So basically here we say, I can take this part. We plan to go. See how we say we plan to go to Hawaii? I could just take we plan to go first, cut that off, you know, and let's see, we plan to go to, um, I can say we plan to go to China, or you can insert any country and um, slice off for the weekend. So you saying, um, it's like this, we plan to go to wherever. We could use Hawaii here. We don't have to change it. Hawaii, cut off that last part and add something else. You can also start by saying, I plan to go to Hawaii or any other country you have in mind. We plan to go to Hawaii. Just change it up. Like you could use any personal pronoun. So I can say something like, we plan to go to Hawaii, or we plan to go to Hawaii, and I can add because. You see, that's not in here, but I know this. I learned this before. Say, okay, I want to say we plan to go to Hawaii because what? Because what? I love meeting people. Oh, no, we got we. Because we love meeting new people and going to different places. Bam. You see that? See what I just did here? You can just, you just got to be creative. Just see how you can play around with it. I plan to go to Hawaii, see? Um, or you can switch it around. You can say something like, I love meeting new people and going, ooh, I love meeting new people and going to different places. Therefore, I plan to go to Hawaii for the weekend or anytime you choose. You see, I just manipulate the sentence. I'm just moving things around, just trying to practice the vocabulary. And you can use vocabulary you've learned in the past from level one. Also, you're not totally restricted to just this material, but you want to use this as much as possible because that's what you're working on during the week. So if you spend, oh, I'm sorry, not a week, but a day. You spend a day on this, listen to the material on top of practicing sentences like that, and then using a native, then yeah, it'll be very, very solid and solidified. And then you just go to a chat room and mess around or chat with some of your friends and try to use some of this stuff in conversation. And you're going to see a lot of this stuff come up in conversation as well. So the key here is to practice the material, practice the vocabulary, by creating your own sentences and also using it with native speakers. I can't stress that enough. All right. And it's pretty much the same. You go on to, um, like you go on to the second part and do the same thing. You listen to the audio, have that audio playing, and then, practice the sentences. You're not going to see, this is the thing. If you don't use this stuff, it don't matter how much you read this, go through it and practice it, making up your own sentences. If you don't use it, if you don't find ways to use it, it's not going to be active for you. It'll be passive, but not active. So it's going to be hard to recall this material because you haven't trained your activeness. You haven't trained it enough. So, I mean, I know many of you know, if you've learned language before, you know that's what happens. All right. So that's what FLR, this is what level 2 is about. And as I said, once you get to intermediate, working through texts like these is very, it is very, 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 very useful, very, very enjoyable because, like I said, you already know how to have a conversation. You just need to build more vocabulary. But as a beginner, you could go through this, but it's kind of hard to build motivation because it's going to take a long time before you actually be able to speak the language. That's just how it is. I mean, I'm not saying anything's wrong with that. Everyone's different. If you're patient enough, you're not in a rush to speak, then this, starting off with material like this is okay and it's not bad. But if you're trying to speak, and when I say speak, I'm like, converse, have a good conversation with a native speaker, then this isn't the right approach to take as a beginner. The approach, well, I mean like reading text at the beginning. So it all depends on the person. That's all it is. So I'm not going to say it's a bad approach for, just it's bad. You shouldn't do it. I'm not going to say that. It's just it depends on you, and everyone's different. Anyway, that's level 2, and I showed you a demonstration on how you need to work through the material. Um, that's that. And see, the cool thing about this method is you can use the same method with any other course. Like these other courses I'm going to show you, you can use the same method. Why? Because they're dialogues. You have text. So let me go ahead and start opening up some of this stuff here to show you. So we did this FLR. Let's go to Teach Yourself. What course is this? Teach Yourself what? Oh, this is Italian. So I'm gonna open this up, and I'm not gonna show you any demonstrations. I'm just gonna give you an idea what Teach Yourself is about. Can't open this file. Oh, don't tell me. I think I know why. Hold on. No, that's okay. Okay, it's good. All right. Yeah, because I had transferred to my desktop. It was on my hard drive. Um, so let me see. I'm gonna show you. This is what Teach Yourself is about. Let me increase this real bit. So basically, Teach Yourself, as I explained before, you have dialogues, they give you vocabulary, box vocabulary, like that, you see. And then you have dialogues here, you see that? So, and obviously you have your audio. So anytime you have these dialogues, at this point, it will be very useful and more enjoyable to work with. Because like I said, you've already had some exposure with the language. You can already speak the language. You can already converse. You're just building on top of what you know already. So Teach Yourself will be a good choice. Also, Teach Yourself has some grammar. It's good for grammar. It breaks down a lot of stuff culturally, grammatically. They give you some points. They give you some mini tests, puzzles, all that good stuff. So, it's a lot here. Teach Yourself is good. Then see, it's the same for chapter 2. They give you a keyword list. They show you that. And then they give you the dialogues. See your dialogue here. And that's that. And see, look, you get a grammar section. So Teach Yourself is good for grammar as well. if you wanted to use it for that. And then this is chapter 3, same deal. They give you vocabulary, you have numbers, dialogues, and then you have a grammar section. So that's Teach Yourself. If you guys have never heard of Teach Yourself, that's what Teach Yourself is all about. The next course, colloquial, and that's pretty much the same as Teach Yourself. It's the same concept. I'll show you. Dun, 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 dun. All right, let's go. Speed this up. They just give you some information. Okay, so here's the first. Oh, here's the first chapter. So they tell you in this box before you even start what you will be learning, what to look forward to, how to ask someone their name, how to give your name, how to ask someone what they're doing, and how to say what you are doing, how to say goodbye, possessives, blah 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 blah. And as you can see, this is the dialogue. See this? And they explain what's going on in the dialogue. So they normally give you the English and then they translate it. I don't know if they do that. Let me see. Oh, I don't see a translation of that. I know in this colloquial Somali, they translate this part. This is like an introduction, and maybe they'll do it later on. But anyway, this is the dialogue here. Kathy, customs officer. You go on to the next page, and then they give you the English afterwards. Then you have your vocabulary section, and you can refer to this if you don't know the vocabulary. And then they give you more, saying hello. They give you language points, exercises, language structure, or grammar, however you want to call it. See, more grammar. And then they give you another dialogue. And see, they give you another description of the dialogue. While Nick and Kathy are filling out their customs declaration forms, another customs officer enters the office. And there's the dialogue again. And then they give you the English translation, vocabulary. So colloquial is solid. It's a really good course if used right. Language structure, exercises, language points. Yeah, see, dialogue 3, same deal. So like I said, it's similar to Teach Yourself, and that's colloquial. All the colloquial courses are laid out like that. The only thing that you like keep in mind about the colloquial, the one thing I need to mention is when you do, you purchase the course, um, they they've been doing this for a long time, but they don't sell the course and the audio together. You have to buy the book first and then buy the audio, and it's quite expensive. It is quite expensive, I have to be honest. But if you got the money, it's definitely I have a lot of colloquial courses. I've spent a lot of money on those courses. You guys have seen my library. I have a lot of colloquial courses, and it's I would say it's worth it. It's worth buying the course, especially if you use them in the right way, as I'm explaining to you now. Like once you get to a certain point, the course will be enjoyable. But from my experience, and this is just from my experience, I'm not saying this will happen for anyone else, but from my experience, I started working with Teach Yourself for Cantonese many years ago when I was trying to learn Chinese, and that was the only course available for the language. I started with Teach Yourself, and I was going through the dialogues, and it was fun listening and stuff. But I couldn't. I think I got to the fourth chapter, and I knew a lot of stuff I remember from the dialogues, but I couldn't really converse with a native speaker. I just knew the stuff from the context. So by the time I got to chapter 4, I started losing motivation because I felt that I wasn't really learning anything useful. And see, that's why I said for me, I like to start working on that at a certain time and not at the beginning stage. Now again, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that this will happen to anyone. This is just based off of my experience. It happened to me. It may be different for someone else, but what I will say, that applies to everyone is it will take time before you come to the state of being able to really speak that language. If you work through that course primarily and all the way through, it's going to take time because of the way it's set up and laid out. That's just how it is. So it's a good course. Like I said, it's definitely worth it. If you got the money, it's definitely worth getting the course. It's useful and you can learn a lot from it. Let's see what's next. Oh, the Glossika course. I bought this course several months ago um, when I was doing Taiwanese. I wanted to try out his course. I didn't really let me see. I didn't really get a chance to sit down and go through like everything. I just kind of skimmed through it. And it's definitely, again, as I said before, it's dealing with context. Okay, it's dealing with context. So I think a course like this, I mean, it's not like, it's not set up like how my course is, like we have dialogues, something like colloquial or, Aussie Mill. He just gives you a lot of sentences, which are very useful. You could use these, you see. But like for me, I would have to like for me to use this, I would have to already know the language to a certain extent, like at least A2 level, and that's after level 1 of FLR. I would have to know a bit of the language before I use this, and I say that because of the type of material, like it's just random sentences. And if I know the language already, I say, okay, you know, I know the weather's nice today. I may be say, oh, today, the weather's bad or whatever. There may be some vocabulary I didn't know, and I can add that on top of what I already know. But if I didn't know any of the language, say, okay, I know how to say the weather's nice today, and then I go on to part two, I'm not rich. So it's like you jump from this weather to something saying that I'm not rich, and then this bag's heavy, and you guys know where I'm going. You guys know you guys know where I'm going with this. So I'm just saying, like as a beginner, me going through all this material, look at all these sentences, it's like it's all over the place. And for me, and then this is for me again, I'm not saying this for anyone else. It's not enjoyable to me if I don't know the language already and I'm just learning random stuff like this. I hope that makes sense. But this is actually a good course. Again, once you get to a certain level. So, I've studied Taiwanese, so I can go through this and listen to the audio and say, okay, well, I knew that already. Brazil is a very big country. Diamonds are not cheap. A lot of this stuff is good stuff that I can add on to what I know already. So that's why I didn't mention his course at the beginning stage because um, it's I don't want to tell someone to get this course and then they get it and say, oh, and they just lose interest. And I'm just going based off of my own experience and how I normally learn. So I'm just trying to give good advice to you, future language learners. So yeah, um, yeah. So this is Gloss's course. It deserves. I'm plugging it, and it deserves to be plugged because, like I said, it is really when it comes to resources for languages, it's really you know I appreciate all the resources made out there. It's not easy to find like actual good resources. So, I know how it is because I've been learning languages for a long time and searching around for resources. Like, okay, I've bought some bad resources and some very good resources. So, it can be a pain trying to find the right resources. So, but I think all resources can be used. All resources are useful depending on how you use them. Let's just say that. Okay, I'm kind of getting off here. All right, so the last thing is Mail here. Let's go ahead and go through that real quick. Um, Mail is see that like Mail is like that course. Let me show you. It's probably my favorite one if I compare it to the other ones I just reviewed. And I'm talking about once I get to this level here. Um, Let me see. Obviously, my very own course FLR, which I created. I mean, yeah, I like that. I'm not saying I'm not saying I like Osimil over that. But like compared to Teach Yourself Colloquial, I like this better for for a number of reasons. Excuse me. Now, Osimil is good because okay, I'm gonna tell you one thing. See, Osimil was good. Like I'm gonna talk about the audio. The audio was very good because they cut out. They give you everything you need. They get straight to the point. They don't they take all this stuff out, like the English and all that good stuff. They get straight to the dialogue. They'll first obviously they'll say, oh, first lesson. Then they'll give you um the title, and then they'll get right to the dialogue, and then they'll get to the exercise, and then once they finish that, right to the next lesson, the same thing. And also, I like how they repeat the number of the lesson. You can actually learn numbers effortlessly by just listening to the Osimil going through these lessons. You see, so I like that. I think they have the best audio when it comes to that. Um, Whereas, Teach Yourself Colloquial, they have good audio, but like I found myself having to cut out all that stuff. I had to cut everything out just to get straight to the dialogue. So I mean, it's not a bad thing, but after going through Oscar, it's like, man, this is, doesn't take any time. I just add it to my phone and just get busy. Don't have to worry about cutting anything out. So as you can see, Osimil has, this is how it's laid out. Okay, you have the main dialogue here, and then you have, now this is a French course, so that's why you see French here, but this would be English over here if it was an English course. So they start off at a slow speed, they read everything out. They don't, when they read the dialogues, they don't repeat the English or the French. You're just going to hear this. So when you go through this, you're going to have to just pay attention on this side and just listen to this side. All right. Um, So the first time they'll go slow, and then the second time they'll go at a normal speed, and then after that they'll go down to the exercise. Where is it? Oh, here it is. So this is the exercise. They got what, 6 parts, six. So they just go through it, and they kind of mix up they kind of mix it up here with the vocabulary learned in this dialogue, just for another another exercise, some more training, and then after that you go to the next lesson. It's the same deal. They give you the title, and they get right to the dialogue, and then they have your exercise again. So I really don't. Now, Osimil has its. They have their own like method on how to go through this course. They tell you to go through it passively for about 50 lessons, I think it is, and then you start getting active with the language. I never really followed that. I just kind of worked through it at my own pace, just use my own little method. I'm not saying that method that they use is bad, but you should definitely follow their method, unless you have your own way of working through material. I just, I think everyone eventually will come up with their own way of working through the material, a way that best suits them. But definitely, yeah, if you want, you can try to work through Asimil's method. Uh, what else I should mention about Asimil? But yeah, it's also, oh, yeah, I forgot to mention that they have notes. They give you notes on the dialogues, cultural notes, but Asimil is not heavily into grammar like colloquial and Teach Yourself. They don't give you too much grammar. It's more like natural, and they'll point out some important things about the culture and just important things you need to know. But they don't go into in-depth explanations of the grammar as Teach Yourself and colloquial would. So just to give you a heads up about that. But yeah, that is it. And as I said before, this is dialogue based. So as a beginner, again, it's the same thing applies. Just like how I mentioned, when I went through Teach Yourself colloquial, it's the same deal. You have dialogues, a bunch of content that you just read through. And let me see. If you're a beginner, you're just going to be learning a bunch of different things, And sure, as time goes by, you're going to learn these words and they're going to come together, but that takes a long time, a lot of time. It takes a lot of time to learn a language, but I think a lot of people agree that being able to converse in a language in about 2 to 3 months is better than waiting a year or two. I think a lot of people agree with that. If there was a way to do that, I think most people will take that approach. Because think about it. I mean, you just cut off a lot of time. You just shorten your learning time, and once you get fluent in a language, you're on your way to starting another language. I mean, it makes sense, right? But like I said, don't get me wrong. I'm not bashing anyone's courses. Okay, that's not my intent. I'm just telling it like it is. That's just how it is. If you look at all these courses, that's just how it is. So again, it depends on the person. It depends on what you want to do and what you prefer to do. Okay, so but that's just me, and that's what I normally do. So that is it. That is the review over all these courses. Now, like I said, there's some other material you can get, such as like grammar books. You can get some children's books. Um, but honestly, you only need one of these courses to work through. If you don't mind taking the time and working through the course, then just work through one and finish that, and then try another course. But if you need to have a variety of content, you just need a variety to keep your motivation going, then look into some of these other courses in this list. Okay. Um, I couldn't review Link, or let me see, what else did I have here? Any type of course with dialogues. Link is basically the same thing. It's the same thing as I showed you. It's text. So if you go check out Steve Kaufman's website, you will see that all his material is text based. It's the same rule applies to that as well. Okay. So like I said, it all depends on the learner. It depends on what you want to start with and how long you are willing to put, or how much time you're willing to put into the language. So that is it for this part of the video. I think that is gonna, yeah, for the intermediate to advanced videos, I'm not gonna do any demonstrations like I did in the first video. This is just to give you more information on what you need to move from intermediate to advanced level. So I'll save the demonstrations for like the level 1 for beginners, because that's very crucial. And besides, by this time you will already know what to do when it comes to speaking with the native speaker. So there's no need for me to do a demonstration. Anyway, that is it. That will conclude this video, and I hope the information I've shared with you guys will be of use to you. I hope it helps you get through your language, and if you feel that this was very useful information, definitely share with your friends or anyone else who's interested in learning a language and they need more advice. They're oh, that scared me. They need more advice on what resource to use and how to go about using them. So that is it, guys. I will conclude the video and talk to you guys soon.